lacrosse a long time, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Very unexpected. What's happening is, like I said, been many, many years. I don't know how many seasons by the time you add them all up, fall, winter, spring, summer, 15, 20, I don't really know. They all kind of blend together. And I've done it all levels. I've coached everything from second grade up through high school and high school seniors. So, for me to see something new is, new, right? And so what the deal is that I was asked to help coach with the high school team. The middle school team that I normally coach, they don't have anything right now. It's kind of in between the fall and the spring season. So the high school folks said, can you come help out on this thing they do once a week? And I said, sure, my lacrosse schedule is open, so why not? So I started coaching. And when you play a sport, there are things that work when you're younger that don't work when you're older, right? The teams get better, they get more organized, more coordinated, the skill level improves, and some things that you could get away with don't work anymore. I'm not going to go into more detail than that because it's lacrosse and you probably feel like you hear about lacrosse enough already, please stop talking about lacrosse, sorry. But that's a thing that happens, I think, in all sports. And so I coached, went out and did the first game, and I noticed that there was this one kid who's a really good player, very talented, athletic, high skill level, but he kept doing the same thing that worked great in middle school, but in high school it just basically gets you wrecked, right? That's what happens, is you just get wrecked if you try it. So I said, okay, I saw that, I said, okay, that's fine. So the next week, before the game, huddled the team together, pre-game, over what we're going to do, and I said, all right, last week we did this week we're going to do it differently. We're going to do it this way. I want you to try it, we're all going to work on it, right? We're going to do it this way. So, okay. Now, they're teenagers, right? Okay, so obviously they heard exactly what I said and did it precisely the way I described it, right? Of course. Not exactly, and I was prepared for this, right? These are kids, right? You got to tell them, and you got to tell them, you got to tell them, you got to tell them by 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Maybe they've heard you once, right? So we know this. So, during games, after I give instruction before a game, during the game, I will remind them of what I've told them. And because lacrosse fields are large and there are distances, I want to make sure that they can hear me. So my voice is typically louder than one might expect. Some call this yelling. It's not really the intent, though I'm sure it comes across this way. I just want to be heard, right? And I know that they need reminders. So the game starts, and this kid goes out there, and sure enough, he's doing exactly what I said not to do. So I reminded him and wanted to be sure that I was heard, right? And that happens. And he comes down the sideline and whatever, and he goes back in, does it again. I reminded him again. And again. And then later in the game, he comes off the field, and the kids are over here in kind of a line, getting ready to go back in. And he starts going off. Who does that coach think he is? What's he talking about? Why is he doing that? Why is he insisting on this? Never heard that before. When you coach younger kids, they're pretty much terrified of their coach, so they never say anything. And I think as you get older, they at least have the decency and the respect to not say it in front of you, right? They go home and complain to mom and dad or talk about you at practice when you're not nearby. I'm sure that happens. But all my years, I never had a kid just go off like that with me right there, well within earshot. I didn't know what to do. And then his teammates were getting on his case. They're like, you're wrong. Coach is right. You got to do it like the way he said. Like, coach is right. Like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're not doing anything. I'm the one doing anything out there. I'm like, wow. I don't know what to do about that either. I mean, I've never seen a kid just, go off on his teammates like that. What do you do? What do you do when you don't know what to do? I think that's the situation Joseph found himself in. He didn't know what to do. Here he was, he's this young guy, he's going to get married, things are looking up, and all of a sudden, she's pregnant, and oh, by the way, he knows it's not his. He doesn't know what's going on, but the one thing he knows, it's not his. I don't think he knew what to do. I mean, let's remember, these were young people, right? I mean, back then, the average life expectancy was about 30, but if you factor out child mortality, which was high, about 1 in 3 children died before the age of 10. You could expect to live to be about 45, which means that right now, I'd have one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. And some of you might be in some trouble. So, that meant that life was compressed, right? And people got married younger. Mary was 13, 14, most likely. That's kind of the average. Joseph, boys got married a little bit older, maybe 15, 16, right? That's the ages that we're talking about here. So, try and imagine how the 15, 16-year-old boys that you know would handle this news. That their fiancée was pregnant, and oh, by the way, it wasn't yours. How would they handle that? Now, how Mary would handle all of this, that's a good question also. She was even younger, but that's a different sermon, right? We're talking about Joseph today. How would the 15, 16-year-old boys, some of you are sitting in this room, how would you handle it? What would you do? What do you do when you don't know what to do? Because you're not prepared for that. When you're 13 years old, at that time when you're looking to get married, there's nobody who says, well, this is what you do if it turns out she's pregnant. There's no manual for that. Even if there was, and you're a 15, 16-year-old boy, you're not going to read the manual. Come on. So, what do you do when you don't know what to do? What I think I do, and what I think most of us do, and what I would have expected Joseph to do is what everybody does. Right? Which is, that's it. You're gone. And not just that, but to do so in a way that absolves yourself of blame. I mean, you'd want to be clear, right? This wasn't me. I didn't do this. You want people to know that. Because they're going to see that she's pregnant at some point, right? It's kind of obvious. They're going to know. So what most of us do is what most people would do. Just make it clear to everyone, it's not our fault. We have in our confession of forgiveness today, I think, a phrase that sums it up quite well. We are quick to complain, quick to criticize, and conform. I think that is probably what Joseph would do. But instead, Joseph does something very interesting. And I'm going to read that for you now, because this is a word that absolutely jumped out at me when I read this when I was preparing for this. Joseph was unwilling to expose her to public disgrace. Unwilling to expose her to public disgrace. Oh my. Think about that for a moment. He was unwilling. He wasn't going to do it. What does that say about Joseph? I mean, there's some values there, aren't there? There's some morals that he holds that he's not going to do it to her. He could, right? He would be within his rights. I think most of us would agree, right? Make her pay a little bit, punish her a little bit. But he is unwilling. There are some values there, and we can debate what those are, and I'm not sure what they are, and it doesn't tell us, mercy, kindness, grace. Those are some words that we could use. They'd probably be accurate, something like that. He has those values. And he's not going to violate them just because she did something wrong to him. And that takes us another value, which is courage. right? Courage to resist this desire that we all have to conform and to be quick to criticize and complain. He shows courage there. And then he shows it again when the angel explains to him what's going on. Because, again, he's a 15 to 16-year-old boy, right? And he's just been told that, oh, by the way, you're going to help raise the Savior of the world. It's kind of a big order, right? Now again, Mary, also a big order, but different sermon. That's a big thing to ask. That's a big thing to ask. If God said that to me now, I think I'd be like, maybe somebody else, maybe, maybe. That's a lot to ask a 15, 16-year-old kid. But he says yes. He says yes to that. And he shows courage and faith there too. And so what Joseph really gives us is a model for what to do when you don't know what to do. He sticks to his values, he shows courage, and he trusts that God is going to take care of it. Of course, in order to do that, we have to know what our values are. And, I wrestled with values a lot when Annette died. Because when she died, I didn't know what to do, right? What do you do when you don't know what to do? I didn't know. And what I read in my devotion after that was 1 Corinthians 13, which tells us that love is patient, love is kind, love does not insist on its own way, but rejoices in the truth. And I thought, well, I don't know what to do, but if I can be that, then the what to do will work itself out. So I tried it. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not insist on its own way, but rejoices in the truth. And I decided that that was how I was going to be with this kid. I was going to be patient, I was going to be kind, I was not going to insist on my own way, but I was going to tell the truth. And so what I did was, after the game, I just pulled him aside. And I said, hey, you're a good lacrosse player. You're a really good athlete. And when you do well, you're a great asset to the team. But when you play that way, it hurts the team. And I just left it at that. And this is the point in the sermon where I tell you that when he came back the next week, everything was great, it was hunky-dory. But the fact is that didn't happen. I don't know what's going to happen because I haven't seen him. Okay? The next week he wasn't there, the week after that I wasn't there, and now we're on break. So I have no idea what's going to happen with this young man. I'm not worried about it. What I know is that Joseph has given us this model, right? And there will be other times when I wonder what to do. I wonder what to do when I don't know what to do. And this model of sticking to your values, showing courage, and having faith that God's going to take care of it is one that we can apply to all sorts of things, moments where we don't know what to do, both as a church and as individuals, We are in a time of transition. Pastor Beth has resigned to take a call with Samaritas. I don't know what to do about that. But if we stick to our values, show courage, and trust that God's going to take care of it, we'll be okay. We're also going to have a new music staff in 2020. That's the plan anyway. And things are moving along there, so we'll see. But we don't know. But if we stick to our values, show courage, and trust that God's going to take care of it, we'll be okay. That's us collectively. That's you when you're out and about doing your last-minute Christmas shopping at the Kroger, and the line is long, and everyone's cranky, and people are cutting you off in the parking lot, and who knows what, and things that I can't even imagine. Joseph gives us a model for life in the moments where we don't know what to do. Stick to your values. Have courage, and trust that God's going to take care of it. That's what to do when you don't know what to do. Amen.